Okay, today we are going to walk through the Elpis tool. Essentially, we are walking through this documentation. So if you get lost, you can follow along with the Elpis Read the Docs documentation. We have already downloaded the available corpus. It's on our computer. So if you haven't done that yet, you'll need to download the workshop sample files here. They are recordings and transcriptions for the Uli language, and they're small, so they're easy to do the workshop with, and they won't take up much space on your computer. So we've already done this step, so if you haven't, you can go ahead and pause and do that, and we are going to get started. So you should have already set up Elpis using Docker on your computer. We have it running here. So we are going to start training a model. So for the types, it looks like this is inconsistent with the documentation here. This says word versus phoneme, but in Elpis, it looks like it's now saying CALDI and HFT. So we are going to do the CALDI version because we have audio files, transcriptions, and a letter to sound file. So we'll click CALDI here. So we already have recordings, so we need to add our recordings from our computer. So we click add and then we go to upload. And I have them here in a buoy. So here we have our transcribed audio. So we will go back and do this whole. Okay, so I think we need to select all of these. How's this working? I'm just opening the audio files. There we go. So we have 4 audio files in .wav format and 4 transcription files in EON format. So I had them saved on the desktop, and I just simply selected each file and uploaded them to Elpis here. So these are all the default settings. Let me double check on tiers here. We go through here. Okay, we have all of the files from the transcribed folder, and you can add additional words. So this would be like a language model. You can add additional words by uploading a word list in a plain text file. And this sample data comes with a corpus.txt. So these are just additional words to add to your pronunciation lexicon. That will make it a little bit more robust. So let's see, we can add those in just in the regular section. Text corpus, yeah, it looks like we just upload those in the same place. Okay. Let me upload the corpus. So here we have our corpus.txt. Okay, additional text files. Perfect. Okay, and then for selecting tiers, so we're not going to change the default tier or the default punctuation settings. But if you have a different type of transcription, I would recommend reading through this section here in the documentation to clarify what tier your transcriptions are in so that it can match the transcription to the recording. So we will go with the default here. And we'll go with the default cleaning as well. So if you have any extra text annotations, you'll want to add them here so that it can remove tags and things like that. So we'll go ahead and click next. Oh, now we can see our word list. Okay. So you can kind of eyeball your word list to make sure it looks sensible. So here we don't have a lot of data, so we're using the toy corpus. So we only have, I think the highest frequency word here is this one. So we don't have a lot of frequency, but that's okay. You want to make sure it looks how you expect. And then we're going to work on the pronunciation dictionary. So this is where we're going to use our letter to sound.txt. This is what is provided in the sample text here, but you'll need to create one on your own. Essentially, it is a mapping between the letter in the word and the phoneme or the sound that you'd like it to represent. So we have, here's an example, two words together, ng becoming eng. You want to make sure that that is going to come before just n and just g, so that that's matching up properly. And in our current letter to sound, I think that's going to work out fine. Okay, so if we go back to Elpis, I'll click next because this word list looks good. And now we'll add our pronunciation dictionary. So here we're going to upload our letter to sound.txt. And here you can see it here. So you can use this as an example of what your own letter to sound.txt should look like. And now let's generate our pronunciation dictionary using this. So we'll click next. And now we can see that we have a pronunciation dictionary generated from our letter to sound. So we want to just eyeball it and make sure it looks good. So we have dining here. You can see that the NG is properly converted. Let's look for, oops, I don't know what happened here. I don't want to make that change. Let's make sure that we've got N's and G's correctly annotated. Yes, it looks like N is correctly annotated here. I'm not seeing a G that's by itself, but it looks good to me. So once it looks good, you can go ahead and click next. Let's save just in case. You can make any physical changes you want here. So if you see something that's incorrect, you can change it in here and click save. And we'll go next. So now we want to get started with training. We've got everything we need to start the training session. So let's name it training. We want to select our pronunciation dictionary, which is here. Oh, wait. Is that the one we want to use? PD, current recordings DS. Yes, okay. Just making sure. Let's go back to training. Verbally training. Okay. So we want to choose an n-gram value to train the model. So if we go to settings, let's see, here we are. Oh, I see. So we click add new, and then we get into the settings. Okay, so actually, let me go back because I didn't save. I didn't save the name. So let's recall this Verbally training and click add new. This is going to save this training session. And basically what this does is it gives you the opportunity to have multiple different training sessions. So now we're in the Caldi type training session, a buoy training, pronunciation dictionary called PD, recordings called DS. This is consistent with what we've uploaded. And now we're going to pick, we'll pick bigrams for the sake of the workshop, but you can go up to 5. But we will do 2. It will take more time to do the training the more n-gram you choose, essentially. And then you can just go ahead and click start training here. And And let me just double check in our documentation. Yep, so we're going to go ahead and start the training. Since we have such little data and we're doing bigrams, it shouldn't take too long to complete. I will pause the recording while it's doing the training session. Preview what we can expect from the results then, if we're just going to wait on the training. So Elpis will split your test and train sets automatically. So the data that you provide to Elpis will automatically be split into test and train. So it will calculate a word error rate based on what it has determined to be test versus train. And you'll be able to see the word error rate and a word count of how many words were wrong compared to the total number of words in the sample. So for our tiny sample, this will be not very helpful, I imagine. And then you'll also be able to see deletions, insertions, and substitutions specifically, which make the word error rate. And then once you're done with the training, you can use your new model to make new transcriptions. So you can upload untranscribed data, and then you can have your new model transcribe that data, and you can take a look and see how it looks yourself. You can also bolster your training sessions as well.